I just finished week number 2 of the meditation marathon. And what I'm doing is I will be every week doing 4 affirmations only on repeat 2 times a day, aiming to do it in the morning and in evening time, which has scientifically been proven to help people shift their mindset with greater ease because it helps you achieve or you're more readily in a brainwave state that supports a natural shift because you can bypass the conscious and enter into the subconscious with greater ease. So that is my goal. And I'm only in week number 2, and I'm really just wanting to throw everything that I said last week into the garbage can. And the reason for that is life is always lifing, as I like to say. And this week, there was a lot of things that just were coming up that threw me, I wouldn't say threw me off my game, but created a lot of activation in my life and triggered a lot of self doubt or doubt in this process in general. And the big things that I was doing this week that were different than last week is I finished a liver cleanse. It was a 6-day cleanse, and my final one was done this Tuesday. And it's pretty intense. You end up evacuating gallstones from your body, and that is very tiring. But it's amazing how a liver cleanse is extremely spiritual. It ties into um, unresolved emotions, and I was pretty impressed how little emotion I felt. Normally they're big upheaval. It's like stuff that's been suppressed just comes pouring out over that 5-day span, 5, 6 day span that you're doing the cleanse. The cleanse that I use is the global healing cleanse. It's a liver detox. I've done it for 4 years. It's absolutely amazing and something I recommend everyone doing because our livers are a huge and vital part in our detoxification. It's essentially the one of the biggest filters of our blood. And if that filter is backed up, it can create issues. And also, if your gallbladder gets backed up due to an excessive amount of cholesterol, it can create these gallstones. So, in doing this cleanse, it helps to break down those stones and then it helps you to flush it out. So, it's a lot on your body. So, there was that. And I also had a lot going on this week. I had a bunch of interviews. I had high expectations for a role that didn't happen. And I thought these affirmations were going to support me. They triggered me. So I was feeling really down in the dumps. And I was wondering why I felt so triggered. Because last week, even though I did have some triggering, I was able to work through it. And it could possibly be the liver detox, the fact that the interview did not go as planned. As of right now, I am looking for work to support me as I continue to build my online business of energy healing. And it's something that I know it's going to build organically. And last year, I know I spent all of my time in creating these courses. I created almost 9 courses, which is unheard of. I looked at the statistics and I'm kind of like, I'm still blown away. It's one of those things that I can't really wrap my mind around fully. But this is the year where, I start marketing, and a lot of businesses will tell you to create one product and sell that product. But because of how my energy field is, how I am as a manifester, I'm a manifester in human design. And that's something that I take into consideration in regards to how I flow and function with not just my routines, but also my um, wellness projects. And I would consider this to be one of those as well. So I'm not surprised that my body felt a big change in regards to this routine. And it's not because I wasn't trying. At the beginning of the week, I was doing every morning and then every night. And I just felt this intense resistance, mainly around the words. They just weren't hitting. And I was trying to do everything that I was doing last week. I allowed myself room to change the verbiage. I did my EFT practice that I called that I was prompted to do. I also did nervous system regulation through the physical support course. I did all of that and I still was feeling extreme resistance within my body. And now that I'm looking back on the last few days, I'm realizing that there was a big collective upheaval, not just for myself, but for everyone, because there was a new moon on Sunday tied into Capricorn. And on February 14th, we are going to have a Saturn return, a collective Saturn return. And this is going to really shine a light on systems that have not served us, particularly in conjunction with the masculine wound. And the masculine wound is being activated because we are in a new 9-year cycle. I received a download that each 9-year cycle honors a specific energy. There's a natural switching of the masculine and feminine energies. In the last 9-year cycle, there was a very big and clear sign to me, at least. And just looking back on the 9 years, I really saw that the feminine wound was being brought up to be healed and to be cleansed. And this 9-year cycle, especially with Saturn, the Saturn return, because Saturn is tied into the masculine. And there's a few other astrology points that are coming up. And when I was doing my astrology calendar for this year, I was looking over every single placement, getting downloads, and seeing what was coming up. And there's going to be a lot around the subconscious and working with the subconscious. And this full moon, because it was in Capricorn, we're about to have the Saturn return, which is ruled by Capricorn. It's going to really, the structures that do not serve are going to come down. That's exactly what I heard when I was doing my research. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. And a lot of this is tied to anger. That, like, on Saturday, the emotion of anger came so violently through my body and through my system. I had to take a step back and I was like, I know this isn't mine. This isn't just mine. There's no way. And I scanned my body, tapped in, and it was collective. And I asked, how can I work with this? Because this is debilitating. This is really all consuming in a sense. And I know some people aren't as sensitive as I am. Some people are. I think more and more people are becoming attuned to these big emotional upheavals within the collective. But if you are someone like me who is sensitive and did pick up on this, what I was called to do was clear the masculine wound within myself that is tied to anger, which is tied to trauma. And what I'm going to do and what I've started is going through the entire Blueprint of Light program to cleanse and clear the blockages that are within my auric field, and then cleanse and clear them from my chakra system so that I can recalibrate my energetic blueprint so it is no longer in alignment with that anger, so I can cut any contracts and do a sacred ceremony around cord cutting so that I can be move forward into this next 9-year cycle without that connection to anger. The trauma looping that can happen is real when you don't address the subconscious holding patterns that are within your aura, your chakras, your meridian, and your physical body. It's not just stored in your physical body. Your physical body is how you experience it. It truly is the gateway, but there are a lot of different layers that make up our essence and our experience as a human being. So what I started was cleansing and clearing my aura, and it was amazing to see how that anger just started to dissipate. And as it dissipated, I was really able to start working with my thought forms around anger, and I was able to start transmuting them, which was super cool because energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be transformed. So I really was starting to delegate how that anger within me could be utilized moving forward in a positive way rather than a negative way. And I know this is possible because I was able to reprogram my energy field first. I think it's essential that you cleanse and clear the root causes before you can really make those conscious shifts. Like I was standing in the shower and I just remember picturing moving the anger in a way that was positive and working with it rather than being like, oh, anger, you're so terrible. Get away from me. Mer. Like anger is a part of us and it's actually very healthy. But because of the way we've gone about utilizing it in our society, it's either gotten a really bad rep or it's become extremely tyrannical, both unhealthy. There's two opposite sides of how anger has not been utilized in a healthy way. And I think moving forward, utilizing anger in the moment when it comes up to act as a safeguard to your safety, to express yourself and to get to some resolve and use it as a buffer to be like, okay, I'm angry. Like what's being triggered here to get to the root cause because at the end of cleansing and clearing the aura, I all of a sudden had this huge wave of anxiety that crashed over my body. And I was like, okay, what emotion is this? It was fear. And that makes sense because anger is a secondary emotion. So fear is the root cause for a lot of this anger. It's reactive, it's not from a grounded state. And if people are in fight or flight, which a lot of people are, thanks to the structures that we have and the systems that we have, it has pitted people against people. And I believe in my roots that most people don't want this. Most people want to be kind, helpful, but if you are reactive and you have unhealed shadows, those shadows will disrupt your light from shining through your truth. And I think for a lot of people, their truth is they want a peaceful life and they want other people to flourish. And I think that is the mass majority of people. And I know I want this. So that's why I'm committing to adding this into my affirmation meditation mindset because of how disruptive this week was when it came to my affirmations. I was so unsettled. I was so triggered, like a trauma trigger. And it makes sense. It was all tying into this activation that was going to take place in regards to the collective anger. I pick up on this stuff beforehand and I can never really figure out what it is until it happens. And I did all my other techniques that I was committed to. And once I realized I needed to cleanse and clear my aura, I gave myself space with my practice. I didn't do it in the morning. I only did it at night. And what I did was I did it as a subliminal text. And subliminals are where you have something playing in the background and it's transmitting specific words so your body and your energy absorbs them. It's a very gentle way sometimes of receiving a mindset shift. I know there are a bunch of different YouTube people out there who do this, but why this style of subliminal is different from theirs is there are only four affirmations that are being utilized. I'm not verbalizing them at all. It's just a text. So the only reason why these subliminals worked is because I had worked with them earlier this week. I had read them. I had verbalized them. I had already started working with them on a very tangible level. So when I went into the shift where I was just like, oh, I can just do a subliminal set of my affirmations, it's a nice shift or I call it a bartering because if I know my body is having some resistance to some kind of practice, I look for the compromise. I'm like, okay, well, this isn't working. How can I still get it to work for me? And so I can still meet my goals without overstepping my energetic threshold. And the subliminals was a good thing because what I did is I played them on repeat at night. And I did this for 2 nights in a row. The other 5 days in the beginning were all I was trying to work with them and I was trying to stay the course with my practice. And I want to make it clear when I start the new affirmations for this week 3, I start again with the morning routine and then at night. And if things shift and need to shift, I'm open to them. But I always start with the morning and the evening. And if for whatever reason life happens, I will shift with it. But I always start with that beginning spot of in the morning and in the night. And if for whatever reason it has to change, or I find as my schedule changes that there are better times that will fit that routine in, then I'll shift it. But my goal is always to do it twice, at least in the early part of the day and in the evening time at some point to separate it out. And when I did the subliminals, I don't think this is something that I'll turn to. Maybe it's something I'll do the last 2 nights. I'm not really sure. I'm still kind of feeling it out. I do realize that I'm in the beginning of my marathon and I do want this to last for me long term. And knowing my energy and how I work, I'm a manifester. So most people may be able to do 7 days a week of the morning and night. That might not be doable for me as a manifester and also as a neurodivergent and as a woman because I'm realizing that my energy is going to fluctuate throughout the month based on my time of the month and what phase I am hormonally. And so you have to as a woman, you have to factor that in. And then I have to factor in the collective energies as well. And then I have to factor in how my energy works naturally. And as a manifester, it tends to be a little bit different than the generator. And most of the systems that we have are based on and made for generators. And in human design, there's 5 different types of energy types. Generators make up 70% of the population, which makes sense that most of everything would be created for the generators because it's probably created by generators for generators. And as a manifester, my energy is very different. So I have to take these things into consideration as I continue this marathon. And I wanted to share that so you don't feel defeated. I know for myself, I definitely was feeling defeated because I didn't understand why the affirmations weren't working, why the things that I worked last week weren't working this week. And I just had to give myself a lot of grace. And I wanted to share not only what I was going through this week, so you can see that some weeks may be more taxed than others and might be more intense, which means your nervous system might be overstimulated. So a new set of affirmations might feel overwhelming, especially if they're triggering things and events that are happening in this week. An example of this was one of the affirmations was God is never too late. The interview that went really well, and the reason why I didn't get it was because they wouldn't take me because of my memorial service. Even though I would have finished training, I would have almost been at the 90-day threshold. I was asking for just a specific allotted time for a memorial service. They said, no, we'll see. It might work later on. It broke my heart because for me, that would have made me feel safe. And so I was like, God, I don't feel safe. I don't feel protected right now. And what I heard was I have something better for you. And I'm feeling scared as shit because I am coming to a space where I need some source of income to support me. And I know a lot of people out there have had this feeling. And I'm really leaning into that trust. And I know for myself, working and doing these healings and healing the masculine wound, it's all in perfect timing. Anything's possible through God. And in the beginning of this week, I would have said, like, fuck off, like 100%. I definitely did. I got really angry at one point and I let my anger out. I screamed, I yelled at God, and I let him know, like, you're promising me these things, but I don't see it. I understand it needs to be your way, but like, and you're telling me to surrender, but I don't like this. You need to meet me halfway. You need to show up for me and I need this, but I know it's calling me to do a lot of trust. And to be honest, that's one of the main reasons why I started this um, meditation marathon is because when I first started implementing these affirmations, they really truly worked for me in a big way. I saw results instantly. So I'm also feeling this resistance because I'm like, why am I not seeing my affirmations answered right now, huh? Why are you putting me in this little like trust bond here, huh? I don't like it. It's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. Oh my God. But I know it's a part of the journey, it's a part of the process. And being able to look back on it now, I can see the growth and I can see how it was uncomfortable and how it's allowing me to step more fully into a space of being conscious of my wounds, speaking up for my wounds. I know some people are like, you shouldn't shout at God, but I'm a big believer in yelling at God, especially if you're angry, because it is a conversation. If spirits making you mad, have a conversation. I can't tell you how many times I've had to tell my ancestors to go F themselves, like back off, because with ancestor work, sometimes they'll be pushing their wants onto you, and you're like, hold on, I'm human. I'm going to enjoy my life. You need to give me space. I'll never forget when I told my ancestors to leave me alone, to back off, to not put their, shames, blames, and whatever onto me and my life. That's not fair. I remember just yelling at them. And at the end of it, they disappeared. And I just remember seeing these two big energetic beings, and they're like, congratulations, you passed the test. And I was like, fuck off, what dicks. Like, but it's crazy. It's to some level, for me on my journey, it's about putting boundaries down and speaking my truth. And for some people this might seem volatile, but for me it's very healing, and it also is a way for me to hold space for my anger. Like, I should be allowed to have these moments, especially if it's in big upheavals. And I'm not saying do it all the time. Like, I did this in my own space, in my own time, in my own healing, away from other people. I'm a big believer in taking ownership of your pain and your traumas so you don't project them. I know we're all human and we all fall short of that. And that's why grace is utterly amazing. But for me, when it's you and God and you're wrestling, I think there's this, maybe that's the patriarchal wound coming up, is that there's this unsaid, oh, you got to be gracious all the time. No, I'm, and that I hear Lilith. That's the Lilith energy. Like, I'm gonna be truthful. I want honesty. I want, like, a real conversation. I feel like we've been taught a lot of times, especially if you've grown up in a Christian mindset, like, you can't have those conversations. But the truth is, you can. And after I came out of that conversation, I felt more held, seen, and infinite spirit met me in that moment. And I wanted to share this because on this journey, on this marathon, I know that's not going to be the only time I have a fit and I have a moment. And I think that's just part about being human. And I think it's about making space for it, not clearing it, cleansing it so it never appears, but transmuting it and transmuting your understanding of it so you can allow it to be a part of the conversation, so it doesn't become a toxic form in your life, an entity, and energy. If anger is pushed aside, it's toxic. It creates inflammation. Inflammation creates disease. So if you leave anger unresolved, and that's why I'm on my journey, I've learned I have to express my anger in the now, because otherwise it turns really toxic and volatile. In working with it in the now, you it's almost like this pure anger. It's so different. And I've learned to express anger and be okay with it, but also know that once it's been released and I'm calm, how can I come to clarity on how to move forward next? Because I understand that anger, I'm feeling so much sadness right now. Oh my God. I finished an energy healing clearing today, in part, which has been a part of the uh, masculine wound healing, the collective masculine wound in my energy field. And I did about 14 hours. So I feel like this is the next energy that's coming up. It's just sadness, just this utter sadness of repression. It's so intense. So on this manifestation journey, what I realized is this anger and these emotions in my field really have been blocking a lot of these affirmations from really taking root. And it was kind of the same with the EFT. I would have all these reactions. And last year, I was also doing the blueprint of light, and I saw the results and the ease enter my body, and the EFT practices really take hold once I did the energy clearing that was being activated, or that was being utilized alongside it. It's very interesting when you do multiple energy healing styles, how they each parallel each other. And it'll be interesting to see how this um, mindset marathon parallels with all the astrological events that are going to be coming up, because there's a lot of subconscious things that will be happening. There is a lot of death. I wouldn't say death and rebirth. I think we are in the rebirth process. I think last year was a lot of death. This is a lot of rebirth. And for me, the picture that I'm holding in my mind is a child, children learning to run, learning to walk, learning to feel, learning to express, and doing it from such a place of innocence. So, how can I get back to that innocence? How can I hold space for that? And what wounds are keeping me from that? And I'm already getting some downloads right now, and I'm going to deal with those later and take a moment once I'm done recording. But when it came to this week, I felt like a failure, but by the end of it, I felt good. And I started off doing in the morning and in the night. And because of the amount of activations and triggerings that I was getting from this big upheaval that was going to happen with the new moon, I shifted accordingly. And, next week, I know it's a reset. So I'm going to start over again, and I'm going to keep doing the EFT tapping. I'm going to keep doing my nervous system regulation, and I'm going to continue doing the blueprint of light recalibration around the masculine wound, so I can get the most of this new year 9 and heal that, so I can really work with that energy rather than be worked by that energy the other way around. Like I want to be a part of the solution rather than being a part of the repeat cycle. And the only way you can get out of the repeat cycle truly is to cleanse and clear the subconscious patterns within yourself, because this wounding goes deep, and it does require, I find, deep somatic releasing in order to get to the deep truth. And I already saw how it was showing up for me. It came across a few different ways, and I can see why this was called forward for me to work with. And I'm really happy that it did. And I'm really grateful that this week is over. I'm really happy, and I'm really excited to get another chance to renew. And I think that's going to be a beautiful part of this marathon is one week there's one experience, and then I get to move on to the next. And then there's a new set of miracles and wonders and lessons to be held. And each of these affirmations are going to keep building on each other and keep growing, and will really build a foundation that's going to support me, not only because I'm going to be sticking to this progress and this practice, but I'm also in the beginning of this practice being called to do energy healing that will really allow me to instill a new conscious way of being. So that's really exciting for me. And yes, this was an extremely taxing week, of course. And I wanted to share that so you can just get a picture of how overdoing it can cause disruption, and it may create activations that require deeper healing, or it may require a shifting in how and when you do the practices. But I don't want you to give up. I didn't, I just shifted accordingly. And I love that I had this experience, because now I know, well, if I'm too tired by the last 2 days, I'll just do subliminals. I'm not going to lean on my laurels with it. I don't like doing that, but I do know, and I do realize there's going to be some weeks where sitting and watching the screen is going to be too much, especially if I'm PMSing. Like that's a reality. And I'd rather listen to the affirmations. God, I sleep so well. So I love it. It's a nice compromise. So I'm glad that I had that experience so I could share with you guys so you can compromise accordingly, not just in this practice, but any other modality that you're working with. Always find your happy medium, because that's what will serve you, especially if you're someone who is juggling not just different energy healing practices, but different things in your life. Like everyone is living a different life. Everyone has different needs they're trying to have met and have different schedules. So being aware of that will help you get the greatest success in this practice. And for some of you, and I know that's going to look different for everybody. So I encourage you to stick it out, keep going, don't give up. It's not a lot. I know it can trigger, but if it does, take a moment and ask, well, how can I recalibrate this? Or what other practice can I bring in that will support me in getting that resolution? Because when I did the clearing of my aura, I was able to then clear out that negativity. And then I was able to read finally the affirmations with the greatest ease. And they just, my body just absorbed them. There was no resistance, there was nothing. So at the end of that week, it was a success, regardless of every which way I was thrown about with it. It was just an experience, and I'm excited that it's done. And I'm grateful that I will be able to start a new week with a new experience and have a good foundation of supporting my energy as I go through this, through my energy healing practices that are in place. So, what a week. I hope you guys are all doing okay after that new moon. That was pretty intense. I hope you all have your grounding practices. I hope you have some form of energy healing. If you don't, I have an auric field cleanse. It's gentle. It's not the full blueprint of light, but it's something that I definitely would recommend to cleanse and clear the collective and just to support cleansing and clearing other people's energy from your system so you can be in greater clarity around your energy, what you need, and so you aren't being energetically swayed by the energies around you, which some can feel more than others. And I will have that down in the resources just in case anybody needs that or wants that to support them on their journey, because I definitely do that once a week. And I have been doing that quite regularly this week because the energy that is shifting right now, especially leading up to February 14th, is real. That Saturn return is going to turn things upside down. The structures that held things in place, for good or for worse, are going to come down. Or more so, the ones that were good are going to stay, the ones that were not are going to come down, which then means we have to rebuild better ones in their place. So, for everyone, that's going to look different, okay? For everybody. So I'm doing my work so I can clear the clutter that's within me, so I can build my foundation so it's sturdy when the world around me is chaotic. But if you are looking for a place to start, cleansing and clearing your aura weekly is where you want to go. Because if you start to incorporate other energy healing practices, especially around recalibrating your aura and working with your chakras, this is a great tool to support you in getting greater results, but it also is a great way to prepare your body to do that work. So that's listed below in the resources. I hope you all have a beautiful week, and I will see you in the next video.